Good morning. It's October 17, 2023. It's a Tuesday and I cannot possibly forget this day because it is my daughter's birthday. Although malayo siya sa papa niya. Anyway, thank you for joining us this morning on this special day for us. But at the same time, we know that you also are all looking forward to something good today because that is the Lord's blessing to all of you. Today, we will be tackling a very important subject matter. It is something that we seem to have copied from America. Okay, millions of Americans, as rich as that nation may be, millions of Americans have relied on food stamps for many decades. Now, that has been a controversial point in and out through different government administration because some say it really helps. Some say it creates a culture of mendicancy, mga paasa at palamunin, as they say. We are adopting the system of food stamps courtesy of the DSWD. The question is, who will pay the bill? Yan po ang pag-uusapan, and how does this affect us? We will speak to one of the regulars on agenda. But before that, allow me to say, as I do every day, maraming salamat po. Thank you very much for being subscribers of Cignal TV, for being viewers of One News, and of course, watching Agenda on channels 8 and 250. And para sa inyong hindi pa sumasapi, hindi pa sumasama, please enroll, subscribe to Cignal. But thank you for catching us via Facebook and YouTube. I guess this is the reality of today. Many people are on the go, living abroad, or are digital nomads, so they watch us via YouTube or on Facebook. Thank you very much nonetheless. And thank you, of course, to PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet for their system, especially Mr. Marco Borlongan. Okay, today's daily starter, very appropriate, very timely sa pag-uusapan. It is from George Bernard Shaw, the well-known author and the philosopher. We have no more right to consume happiness without producing it than to consume wealth without producing it. Okay, so wala tayong karapatang lumigaya o maghanap ng ligaya kung hindi tayo gumagawa ng bagay na nagpapaligaya. Tulad na rin na wala tayong karapatang gastusin, waldasin ang yaman kung wala naman tayong itinabing yaman o hindi tayo gumagawa ng kayamanan. Okay, lalim po ba ng Tagalog? But we have no more right to produce happiness, to consume happiness without producing it. So, wag po niyo sabihin, wala akong dahilan para maging masaya, hindi mo naman pinasaya sarili mo. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star. And para pong pelikula, it's like a movie. The headline of the Philippine Star today, October 17, 2023, Escape from Gaza. Yan po, foreign nationals in desperate wait to flee from the war. Israeli forces keep up their bombardment of Gaza on Monday after diplomatic efforts to arrange a ceasefire to allow foreign passport holders to leave and aid to be brought into the besieged Palestinian enclave fail. Yun po. So the Pope has been, His Holiness Pope Francis have been asking for a humanitarian corridor para naman makaalis yung mga non-combatants and foreigners. Unfortunately, that's the situation. Okay, now at the top on the right side of that front page headline, we have a story about Hamas tried to infiltrate Philippines in 2018 and 2022 according to the National Security Council. If I'm not mistaken, yung NSC, yun nga ba yun? Pasensya na po, tayo ay medyo, National Security Council. So that's a related story. And now we at the top of the front page, DICT, ICE local hackers in-house website breach. The Department of Information Communication Technology suspects that the hackers of the website of Congress or the House of Representatives are local because they use local lingo and local style. Okay, stylized Pinoy. And further down the body of the front page, we have members of Transport Group Manibela on a jeepney on East Avenue in Quezon City, putting up placards for their protest and their attack against the LTFRB. Meanwhile, Philippines, Canada signed deal versus unidentified illegal ships. The Philippines has signed an arrangement with Canada on the use of the latter's dark vessel detection system, DWD, by the Philippine National Coast Watch Center against illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing in the country's exclusive economic zone. Malaking bagay po yan, especially for ships pretending to be shipping vessels but are actually transporting drugs. Meanwhile, LTFRB threatens to cancel franchise of transport strikers yet again. As usual, the LTFRB has said that they will cancel the franchise of transport operators who are identified with the strike. Okay. And then further down, Ayala Group boosts support to children of fallen soldiers. Bravo. Okay. The Ayala Group, in collaboration with Hero Foundation, has reaffirmed its commitment to providing educational support to children of Filipino soldiers who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defending the nation. It's about time we all recognize the contributions of uniformed personnel, both military and the police. And last but not the least, because it's good news, the Philippines has been hailed as Asia's best cruise destination. Ayan po, okay? The country was awarded as Asia's Best Cruise Destination 2023 at the World Cruise Awards in Dubai, United Arab Emirates last Sunday, according to the DOT. Wala pa yung mga cruise, special cruise ports na ginagawa at gagawin ng PPA. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back, we will listen to our Professor Emeritus of Agenda to teach us about economics, economic terms, consequences of certain economic policies or government policies that could either be a blessing or a curse. Makinig po tayo para lumawak ang kaalaman natin. We'll be right back here on Agenda.
The Marcos administration has declared the Walang Gutom 2027 food stamp program as the government's flagship program. The program of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, aims to decrease the incidence of involuntary hunger among food-poor families. This is in line with the government's goal of ensuring food security and proper nutrition as part of the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028. The food stamp program targets providing monthly meal assistance worth 3,000 pesos in the form of electronic benefit transfer cards. Families can use this to buy select food commodities from eligible partner merchant stores. How can the Marcos administration ensure this flagship program will achieve its goal? Let's further discuss this on today's agenda.
Emmanuel Leyco is the former officer in charge and undersecretary of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD. A retired economics professor at the Asian Institute of Management, Leyco also served as president of Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. Currently, he is the chief economist of the Credit Rating and Investors Services Philippines, an independent credit rating agency.
Okay, Professor Leyco, welcome to the program agenda. We hope you are in great health. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And thank you for involving me in this very important discussion of the day.
Okay, well, we might as well get started. And as you already heard in the video, the Marcos government has announced that this is going to be a flagship program of PBBM administration, the issuance of food stamps for indigent families. Now, what is your reaction analysis of this?
Conceptually, food stamps, I think is a very good idea. It is nothing new. It is also, actually, it's being implemented, it's being practiced in the US for many, many decades already. Mm-hmm. But I think what we need to do, or what we need to see, is that the food stamp or the hunger program is separate from anti-poverty. We need to do food stamps, we need to do feeding, because there is so much poverty in the country. So is food stamp a good idea? Yes, but in terms of implementation, problems will be many. The US and the Philippines are very much far apart when it comes to its ability to implement programs. 4Ps was supposed to be a poverty alleviation program. However, from my perspective, it really looks more like a feeding program. Without 4Ps, there will be a lot more people who will go hungry. And with the food stamps, I think that is an acceptance that 4Ps should be looked at, should be treated as a feeding program. Food stamps is good, especially for a country with so much poverty, and also with a country whose economy structurally is dependent on consumption. Household consumption dominates the economy. More than 60% of our economy comes from household consumption.
Okay, Professor Leyco, isn't this basing it on what you just said? Doesn't the food stamp come in like double compensation, as they would say, because you already have the 4Ps? The 4Ps is by itself is also not clear, because depending on who you talk to, there's a different version. Some people have said, well, the 4Ps is actually an incentive. And I say, what do you mean incentive? If you are a 4Ps recipient, you must enroll your children in school, you must undergo maternal or maternity, prenatal care, etc. So it is more for making sure that pregnant women undergo screening, prenatal care, medical checkups, and that their children all are enrolled in school. and in return they get a set amount of several thousand pesos. I think it's 3,000. Magkano ba during your time?
Mga 4,000 ang bawat pamilya on
Okay.
average. No? Like you said, there might be some overlaps. And like many people have observed, 4Ps basically an assistance for households to be able to purchase what they need. And what they need basically, when you look at the purchasing behavior of consumers, first thing that they buy is food. No? And food stamp will basically overlap with 4Ps. So it only affirms what many have observed, that the 4Ps is really a feeding program, is really a food purchasing assistance program. And I think it's good, no, to have a food assistance program. However, when it comes to the implementation, I think that will be that's where the devil will come in. You know, there will be so much leakages that you can expect, and there will be so many inefficiencies that can be expected from a system that is not exactly efficient from the beginning. No?
Okay, but in the United States, such programs, food stamps, etc., assistance, is all connected to unemployment. Now, in the Philippines, what is our setup or system? Are we giving assistance because someone claims to be poor or has been certified by a barangay as being poor and indigent? I know that there are students who can go to a barangay and say, nakatira po kami dyan sa sitio, ganito, ganyan. Wala pong trabaho nanay ko, tatay ko po ay security guard laang. So they can be classified or certified as indigent. But paano ba? How do we do it? Because generally, it's either you're unemployed, where you get a welfare check, or you're destitute. How do we do it in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, we have a poverty surveillance, a poverty survey that was done on a household-to-household basis. No, maganda yung mga survey. For example, they will look at the structure used to build a house. Is it made of concrete? Is it made of light materials and so forth? Meron ba itong mga appliances? Merong mga poverty indicators or asset indicators that will evaluate the economic standing of a particular family. And based on the assessment of the enumerators, they will report whether or not the family is poor or not. No, I don't think there is a problem with that. However, conceptually, like I said, it looks great, pero there were many instances where inclusion and exclusion error in the DSWD system has been observed. And
in what form, Professor?
So, for example, some neighbors would observe, itong pamilya na to, mayaman to, may television ito, maraming mga cellphone, may kotse pa, bakit nakalagay sa 4Ps? So ngayon, the same problem that was observed in 4Ps can also be transferred to the food stamp eligibility screen. So they supposedly they should be excluded. So people are saying, why were they included? And then there are also, on another aspect naman, there are people who are dirt poor, but they are not receiving anything. They were excluded.
Lalo na yung especially those who are not registered voters.
Exactly.
That is the biggest curse and the worst form of discrimination all over the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen, where people can't get medical attention because they were not registered voters. Dahil no read, no write, hindi nila naisip na pumunta sa barangay, magparehistro at bumoto. So hindi sila pwedeng magpatingin sa mga ospital o doktor.
That is the major difference in the Philippines and the US. In the US, hindi naman eligibility criteria yung are you a registered voter? No, this is purely on economics as far as I know. Hindi yan requirement. Pero in many local governments, voter registration is a requirement. And that's what is giving way to using programs like this as a tool for political patronage. So, ikaw, botante ka, I will give you this program, I will include you in this program, and therefore, in a way, directly or indirectly, they are able to use that anti-poverty program as a tool for political patronage. That is a very problematic issue here in the Philippines. And with the introduction of the food stamps, I suspect that will be the same thing that will happen there.
Yeah, because that is also what caught my attention. Is this another means to get the loyalty or the support of the masses that have been voting based on hopes and promises?
Exactly. In fact, when I was at DSWD, we were making sure that when we distribute programs or when we distribute 4Ps or when we distribute benefits, politicians will not be around. You know, we just thank them na they facilitated so and so, but in the program definition, benefit distribution itself, it will be free from presence of politicians. But just like everything else, no, mahirap talagang gawing perpekto ang sistema. And they always say, constituents ko yan eh. This is part of my constituency service, which is okay. I think that should be respected also and that should be recognized. However, when it comes to implementation, eligibility screening, and actual distribution, that should be left to the hands of DSWD.
Okay, right now, the 4Ps gives out approximately 4,000 per family. That's every month. And yan ba forever? May forever ba sa 4Ps sa 4,000?
Wala po. Dapat may graduation yan eh.
Okay.
Pagka gumraduate na yung mga bata, they finished school, graduate na dapat yung pamilya doon. O kaya, if a member of the household found employment, especially OFWs, yun ang major trigger ng graduation from DSWD program as far as I know. Pagka nagkaroon ng OFW family, nag-graduate sila, nagkakaroon sila ng malaking income. Supposedly, the 4Ps should work in tandem with the supplemental livelihood program, which means that while they are receiving 4Ps and now food stamps, they should be able to equip themselves to find employment or sources of livelihood. Kaya lang, during my time, what I observed was there was a domination na ang mga livelihood programs were mostly food production. Yung ano ba, yung fishball or mga halaya o kaya yung mga bottled food, pero they have problems selling them in the neighborhood kasi mahihirap din yung mga tao in the community. So they're not able to buy. So they end up bringing home their products and basically unable to sell. Kaya lang, pagka nagkaroon ng opportunity, yung isa sa kanila na makapagtrabaho either as security guard o kaya ay sales woman or salesman sa mga malls, nagkakaroon sila ng income and therefore nakaka-graduate sila. Pero malaking bagay na ang isa sa kanila ay makapag-abroad. And
Sila ba, yung bang those who find jobs, yung nagkaroon ng trabaho, Ano ba yan? Forced graduation ba yan? Katulad sa akin na sinabihan ako ng registrar of the university, Hoy Beltran, maximum residence rule ka na. Pag hindi ka graduate dito, kick out kita. Diyan ba sa 4-piece na yan merong maximum residence rule or forced graduation ba yan? Or voluntary exclusion from the 4-piece?
Merong screening yan, ano? Merong monthly or periodic screening. So, social workers or their mga assistants, they interview and evaluate whether or not the household is still eligible.
Yeah,
So-
because I was going to ask you, Professor, you're the economist. You've been around for many decades in different positions. Everybody, and I have the same opinion. Even if someone got a job now, whether security guard, whether sales girl, or nagtrabaho sa isang farm or factory, the salary of one person is not enough to support a family of 2, 3, or 4, or even the family of 5. So, pag in-exclude mo sa 4-piece, di back to zero na naman sila.
Oh, tama yon. Kaya lang, meron talagang screening program, ano? May criteria. If you reach that criteria, tanggal ka na dapat sa 4-piece. No? Lalo na yung mga estudyante, no? Kung nakagraduate na ng high school, tanggal ka na rin sa 4-piece. O kaya, na-kick out ka, tanggal ka rin dun sa 4-piece. Merong ganun which is good. Kaya lang, I think like you said, ang income levels naman natin, ang wages natin are within poverty levels, no? Maski na magtatrabaho ka, you're still unable to support yourself to provide a decent life for you and your family.
Yeah,
So-
because even the workers and employees, I'm not talking about laborers, employees in Metro Manila, people who get 15, 20,000, if you compute the money they spend for commuting, yung kailangang mamasahe, kakain ng lunch, merienda, tapos babiyahe pabalik, and then para sa kanilang mga uniforms, etc. Wala. The kids basically say, sir, wala. Parang we're just keeping ourselves busy, but we're not really making much money or able to save because zero-sum balance.
You are right, Cito. That's what we call poverty wages. You know, you only receive a daily wage enough for you to come back the following day, but it does not free you and elevate you from a lifestyle na dependent ka doon sa minimum wage so that you can also afford to send your kids to school, get a better housing, be able to live a decent life. No, hindi. Ang nangyayari, ang minimum wage natin really is a poverty wage. Now, going back to the food stamps, ang fear ko dito, it might turn into another instrument for political patronage. Kung hindi pulido o kung hindi airtight ang implementing system nito, it will only give way to more corruption, political patronage, and even the program to alleviate poverty or address hunger, malamang hindi rin ma-address yan.
Okay, there is a propensity or there is a tendency in the Philippines, especially among politicians and government officials, to fast-track things, madaliin. Now, from what you know, when the Marcos administration that is only coming into its, it is only in, I think, halfway, its second year, not even halfway, was this program studied, reviewed, vetted properly from your sources? Because parang parang na lang kabuti. It's like a mushroom, wild mushroom that just came out of nowhere, and it worries me if this thing has not been properly researched and studied.
Actually, the idea of adopting a food stamp program has been around. No, even before the Marcos time, no, the food stamp idea is that kasi sabi nila, wag na pera ang ibigay natin, food stamp na lang that will be limited only to purchase food. Para kasi yung iba daw
Parang GC, parang gift certificates, obligado ka to buy only at particular participating outlets and stores.
Exactly. Pero alam mo, the system or the people, pagka malisyoso, pagka masyadong vicious, madaling i-monetize ang food stamp. Pwede nilang pagbilihan, ano? So that they will be able to get the money that they wanted. Hindi problema yung ililimit lang sa pagkain. Kasi yun daw ang problema eh. Kasi people were saying na pinangsusugal, pinambibiling sigarilyo, pinambibiling alak. Pero we've done surveys before that the consumption behavior of the people, basically in the hierarchy of their needs, no, unang bibilhin nila ay pagkain. Meron din talagang mga deviant behavior ang mga tao na meron mabibili ng sigarilyo, ng alak o pangsusugal, pero katiting lang yon, wala pang 1% ang gumagawa ng mga ganong deviant behavior. So ang nature ng tao, ang pinakauna nilang bibilhin ay pagkain. So they were saying, di bakit hindi natin gawing food stamp para pagkain lang ang ano nila? That shouldn't make any difference. I think monetizing it, you know, and kung pwedeng gawin nila na mas malaki ang 4Ps, kasi yung purchasing power ng mga tao ang mahalaga na masuportahan in an economy that is being supported basically by household consumption. You have to make sure that the purchasing power of the people will be protected. Yan ang ating the number one dapat na concern. Ngayon, sabihin natin pagkain, okay naman din yun eh. Pagkain naman talaga ang bibilhin nila. Pero parang additional layer in the system that can be monetized anyway. If you don't want them to buy anything else, pagbibili nila yung kanilang food stamp, okay, sasabihin nila, hindi, kailangan may requirement, kailangan may ganito, kailangan may pre-screening.
Yeah, based on what we're seeing here in the video, Gab, if you guys can just play that video again, may makikita kang merong parang swipe, parang merong machine, may card, siniswipe. Doon nga lang sa mga regular stores in malls, some outlets will tell you, sorry, our credit card reader is not functioning. Ito, yan, makikita ninyo yan, there is a system. Do you think that makes sense?
No, sa tingin ko, it's just additional cost. It's an added cost to a system na basically ang purpose is to provide food. Providing food, the best way is to give them money. And then watch out for deviant consumer behavior na kung ano-anong gagawin nila doon, ano bibilhin nila. Pero in a market economy, at saka yung if we understand the consumption behavior of people, number one, hierarchy of needs, bibili sila ng pagkain.
Okay.
Converting the money into food stamps is an additional cost that will not issue that.
Let's go for a quick break, Professor Leyco. When we come back, you mentioned the word cost. What's this going to cost and who is going to pay the cost? Let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda.
As prices of commodities continue to rise, more and more Filipinos are experiencing involuntary hunger in the country. This can be seen in the June SWS survey, wherein about 10.4% of Filipino families experience involuntary hunger, or being hungry and not having anything to eat at least once in the past 3 months. For the DSWD, the survey validates the relevance of the agency's food stamp program, as about 1 million food-poor families are expected to benefit from the Walang Gutom 2027 food stamp program. President Bongbong Marcos, meanwhile, has also stressed the importance of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, or 4Ps, to address the needs of poor households in the country. Will the food stamp program, along with an improved 4Ps, help alleviate hunger and poverty in the country? Let's discuss that further on today's agenda.
Okay, with us is Professor Emmanuel Leyco and Professor. So 4Ps gives 4,000, and then the food stamps is going to give 3,000. And they've already announced that it is the flagship program. But from what I understand and has been provided me by Team Agenda, the system or the personnel complement required to run this, and this is going to be national. All local governments are supposed to have staff for this. It's not yet there. How long will this take before they can actually roll out?
Siguro mahina ang isang taon, ano? I think it will take a year for the system to take off. First, they will have to set up the system, the automation, the database, and so forth. And then they'll have to train new people. I'm not sure if they will just give it as an additional task for the incumbent social workers or the case workers at DSWD. But definitely, this will require more system, more resources. So it will be like an added cost to the 4Ps that we already have.
Okay, now the question is, what will the impact be on the national budget? And where will this money come from?
The budget will definitely come, or the funds will definitely come from the national budget. The sources can come from borrowings, because right now, I think the deficit that the country is already experiencing is already huge. So with the 5 trillion, more or less, some 5 trillion budget that is being considered now, malaki ang kinoconsider nila na it will come from borrowings. So this food stamp and the continuing 4Ps will definitely come from borrowings from either ADB or the World Bank. And I think if the leakages are patched up or kaya ma-eliminate, that can be a good program. But I think the challenge will be in the implementation. Like I said, it's a great idea. I think it's a recognition that the people need support for their purchasing power, the household consumption. And if they are able to implement that, right now, if we can limit the cost of implementation to just 5% or less, that would be a good program. No, pero anything that goes beyond 5%, that will be a major leakage in the program.
Has there been any conversation or discussion regarding creating a network, enlisting suppliers? Because I remember at some point when poverty alleviation was being discussed at the beginning of the PBBM administration, some people suggested na Kadiwa, etc., farmers group, etc., would be connected with government as a supply chain. Dito ba sa food stamps, are we talking about enlisting big supermarket chains or something like that. Because parang you're right, it's a good idea. It might even be an even better idea if this 4-piece and food stamp recipients get their food from local producers instead of getting their meat, their chicken from imported chicken, imported pork, etc.
Yeah, I think in terms of the details, Secretary Gatchalian would be in a better position to address that.
Mhm.
However, when it comes to, say, for example, if you are giving a boost for food purchases of the people,
Mhm.
that can, in a way, stimulate local economy
Yeah,
by being
exactly.
able to supply, no? However, local economies in the country are not all the same. Many of our areas, no, many of our regions are not able to supply the requirements of their own communities. That's why they import from other regions. And when we look at inflation, a major
Mhm.
problem of the country's our economy is inflation.
Mhm.
Regional inflation are not all the same. If you go to other areas, for example, in the Central Luzon, in Mindanao, certain areas there, certain provinces, ang inflation are much higher. Why? Because they're not able to locally produce, so they import from other regions, which will require transportation cost or will require transportation, warehousing, the logistics. So this is added to the value or to the price of the commodities that they are importing into their region. So regardless whether there is a food stamp or no food stamp, the same regional economic problems will persist. So will food stamp be able to address that? I don't think so. I think what would be required is that the food production capacity of each region are boosted so that the prices or the inflation in that area will be brought down. It's not just the macro national inflation that is affecting the people in general. Hindi pare-pareho ang inflation, like I always say. Ang
Mhm.
inflation ng mahirap ay mas mabigat, mas masakit, mas mahapdi kaysa sa inflation ng mayaman. Dahil ang mayaman, they can only basically switch to alternatives. Kung mahal ito, so I will not buy that, I will buy a substitute. Pero ang mahirap, malalim ang sugat ng inflation sa kanila. So, will food stamp address that? I don't think so. I think food production capacity improvement of our regions will address that better.
Okay, now as far as because you said regions, etc. We have a saying nowadays in the Philippines, "Sana all." Now, will this be a nationwide, every inclusive program, or is it designed primarily to small communities or identified communities where poverty is extreme? Kasi sabi mo nga, poverty is relative. There is extreme poverty, there is mental poverty, etc. But would food stamps help by targeting, or should it be nationwide?
I think food stamp will be implemented in a targeted manner. First of all, they will screen, they will evaluate for eligibility for the program, and therefore, based on the criteria, they will be able to identify beneficiaries. So it will depend on the magnitude of poverty and hunger in the area where the food stamp will be implemented. But like I said, no, this is another challenge for DSWD. This is another challenge for the national government. And hopefully, the problems that may be encountered will be addressed earlier than later. Because that will require a lot more resources that will only come to waste if the problems are not anticipated and they're not addressed.
Okay,
And,
let's go for a quick break, Professor Leyco. When we come back, I'd like you to just round it all up. Let's circle back. Let's list down all the anticipated problem with food stamp system and also ownership of the program, because at the end of the day, this will cascade to local governments. With the barangay election coming up, I am reminded that this will ultimately land in the hands of barangay captains. We'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to your program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and joining us to discuss the program of giving food stamps to indigent families, none other than a regular on the program, Professor Emmanuel Leyco. Professor, if you would, you said that the program initially idea is a good program, good idea, but there are problems that need to be addressed. Could you run them down before we finish the program?
Thank you. Actually, the food stamp program, like I said earlier, is a good program. I think it's a good acceptance of the problem that we are having now. Especially, even the 4Ps is a indicator na people require assistance for them to be able to address their immediate requirements. And the immediate requirement is food. Now, the food stamp is a targeted intervention, especially for those who cannot afford the food, and especially that instrument or that program will enable them to buy food. Now, the problem with food stamp or the problem that we are currently having right now, will that be able to address hunger? Hopefully. However, the problems with the food stamp will definitely start with its implementation. The setup of the system will take time. It's not going to be an overnight setup that when we launch food stamp today, tomorrow everybody will have a food stamp card. And will it be able to address the problem where some 4Ps beneficiaries are engaging in deviant purchasing or consumption behavior, where they will, instead of buying food, they buy alcohol, they buy cigarettes, or they even use the money to engage in gambling. I don't think so. Kasi the food stamp, right now, if they give them a card, they can monetize food stamp. They can even loan, or they can even say, okay, I will loan my food stamp card to you if you give me money. So it's the same thing, no? Vicious systems will be able to take over take advantage of the weaknesses of the system. Also, will it be able to address the rising prices of food, which is a major problem? I don't think so. Inflation in different regions are different, no? Metro Manila, sometimes inflation is higher, sometimes it's lower, but in some remote areas, inflation is a lot higher. And this is where the concentration of poor people are. So will the food stamp address that? No, only better capability of the region to produce the requirements will be able to solve that. In other words, an economic productivity enhancement for the region will be required in order to address hunger in that area. When the food prices are brought down, more people will be able to afford that, or people will be able to afford more food for their households.
So, but my final point before we went into the break, ownership of the program. Right now, President Bongbong Marcos is announcing, declaring this as a flagship program. But once it's implemented, it will be in the hands of the barangay captain. How do we make sure that the barangay captains and their people do not control who is enrolled in the food stamps program, like we discussed earlier, where there is a rule that you must be a registered voter?
I think the DSWD as an organization, as an agency, should be empowered enough against political pressures. In other words, it should be the role of DSWD to implement, distribute, identify, and determine who the beneficiaries are. I think it's okay that local politicians will submit to DSWD, recommend, and so on and so forth, but the final evaluation, the screening should belong to DSWD, not the politicians or not the local government officials. And they should be immune from political pressures by allowing them to be able to conduct themselves independent of the local dynamics in the local government. Pero mahirap yun, Cito. We need the cooperation of the local governments in implementing programs such as this that goes to the grassroots. So I guess transparency will be very important here. The role of the media will be very important. I-broadcast, i-promote, i-project, no, ang mga activities ng DSWD. And I think this should belong to the national government, not the local government.
Okay.
Cooperation is required, but the initiative comes from the national government.
Okay. Well, Professor Emmanuel Leyco, as always, your explanations and your quote lectures unquote are very helpful. We learned quite a lot this morning. Thank you, and God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's Professor Emmanuel Leyco. And now let's go to the blessing for the week. And I do hope that all of you will adopt this as your personal prayer. It is the prayer of Jabez from 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 10. Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain, or that I cause no pain. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for watching Agenda. Please include us in your prayers if you would, and please keep it here on One News. Have a good day.
The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world.